Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades, and how are you all doing? And we are back, and what are we back into, I hear you say? Well, feel no more, I shall say. We are back into Love is Blind season 5, and we are now on episode 6. But before we get into it, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know when I am on and doing videos. Let's get this camera straight. I mean, the angles are all over the place at the moment. They're all over the place. And let's get into this episode, shall we? All I'm going to ask is, like, they found the most drama-rific ridden people and decided to put them all together. I've not experienced a Love is Blind like this. These people are chaotic. They're all over the place. It's literally all over the place. Like there's no control. Everyone's just like, I'ma do and say what the hell I want to, no matter how it's going to make me look. I just like, raw. I've had ups, I've had downs, twists, turns, shouting at the TV, literally sitting there with my eyes going, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I'm at a loss for words. No, really, well and truly, I am at a loss for words. So as we know, they're all on their honeymoons, and we know that Izzy and Stacey are getting on quite well, and Milton and Lydia are getting on quite well, apart from Lydia's bossiness at the end of the day. But Lydia and Milton, when they interact with each other, they're quite sarcastic, but then they also connect on a different level. So when they're talking about like their qualifications, they're talking about suns, talking about stars, this, that and the other, I'm sitting there and it's literally going over my head. Like, because I'm sitting there thinking, I really sometimes don't know what these two are talking about. I'm glad they know what they're talking about, but I really well and truly don't know what they're talking about. You see, Izzy and Stacey are getting on, basically. They're getting on with each other. No complaints really over the honeymoon stage with those two. They're talking, they're doing what they need to in that sense, but we'll see how they get on when they get off the honeymoon. But the issue that we need to speak about today is JP and Tyler. Well, more so JP, because I don't know what's wrong with that man. Like, seriously, I really don't know what's wrong with that man, because I'm sitting there thinking, who hurt you? Like, seriously, well and truly, who hurt you? Because whoever hurt you did a number on you, and what you need to do is go and catch yourself in some therapy. Like, sit down and talk to somebody and get that feeling out, because my God, if you can't talk to someone that is supposedly you're trying to draw close to you and get next to you, and in order to have this life with them and be married to them, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, what the fuck? Are you just going to sit there and stare at each other all day long? Make sure your wife is very, very quite chatty so she can chat your ear off while you sit there and say nothing. And then he had the audacity to freaking talk to Tyler in the way that he did, and try to blame Tyler and make it all about Tyler. I was like, this is gaslighting 101, this. Like, absolute gaslighting 101, that he would blame Tyler for concentrating on the awkwardness between them. How can she not concentrate on the awkwardness? Because you don't talk. You're expecting her to fill in all the gaps. She can't fill in all the gaps. Otherwise, she might as well just talk to herself. She is literally just talking to herself. That's what she's doing. Tyler's literally just talking to herself, because he's sitting there being non-committal, throwing in one-word answers and ain't really saying much. All I can say is on this episode, that's the most I've heard JP talk. Like, seriously, the most I've heard JP talk being out of the motherfucking pod. The one thing though as well I will say is about Stacey. She kept assaulting my ear holes by calling Izzy daddy. I don't need to hear that shit. I think it's... I know people out there like it. I ain't gonna bag you if you do. It ain't for me. It just ain't for me. I ain't standing there calling no grown-ass person daddy. Yeah, my daddy. I find that weird. I find it hella weird. And she kept on doing it. It was a complete assault to my ear rolls. I was sitting there going, no, stop it. Didn't want to hear it. Really did not want to hear it. Didn't. So then we move into the nitty gritty of Taylor and JP when they're in the room and they're having a conversation. And basically Taylor is saying to him that there is no emotional connection between them. And then he ends up responding back straight in her face, because you don't change. I'm like, is this guy's taking, he must be taking the piss, or he's taking a fucking pill that makes him be oblivious to the shit that's going on around him, because this man was not taking an ounce of responsibility for his behavior and the awkwardness that was caused between them. Now she's trying to say it was when Taylor was saying that it was when they got on the honeymoon that the awkwardness started, but JP's trying to say it's as soon as they met and they came out of the pods when the awkwardness started. And I was like, okay. I felt when they first come out that there was a little bit of awkwardness in how they were greeting each other, but I kind of felt that was because Taylor didn't necessarily like the look of JP. I wouldn't necessarily like the look of JP, to be honest with you. I mean, the amount of American flag apparel that man wore, I mean, I bet you he wears it on his boxers too. Wouldn't surprise me if he wore it on his boxers too, because that man wore it in any way, shape or motherfucking form. It was weird. To me, it was weird. Like, seriously weird. Anyway, so I thought it was down to the fact that Taylor didn't really take to him. Taylor didn't really like him in that sense. And I think she was trying to force a kind of chemistry and kind of like with him. But it wasn't that. So JP had the audacity to say that, you know, she came out with a full face of makeup and basically called her fake. He called her fake because she wore the makeup, and that it went on his bloody suit and everything like that, and he prefers her the way she looks now, where she didn't have a lick of makeup on. Now for me, Taylor's cute, Taylor's pretty either way, with makeup on, with makeup off. Taylor has pretty features. But my thing is, dude, Taylor didn't wear no makeup for the whole of that honeymoon, but yet you still didn't freaking talk to her, yet you was still motherfucking awkward. So how does that work? How does that work? You complained about the makeup, yeah? Makeup that she decided to put on for herself because she wanted to feel pretty, not just for you in that sense, but it made her feel good at the end of the day. And that's what women wear makeup for, to make themselves feel good. I put eyeliner on my eyes because I feel like it makes my eyes pop and makes my eyes look really nice. Without it, I feel naked. But that's for me. It ain't for nobody else. It's for me. So for him to say that she was fake because she put on a face full of makeup. Now, bearing in mind, she did not have a face full of makeup on. She did not have a face full of makeup on. Taylor's makeup is quite subtle at the end of the day. It isn't and in your face at the end of the day. But he was making a complaint. I'm thinking something else was going on. Something else was going on in his thinking, and the only thing he could pick on was the fact that she wore makeup. And the way in which he was putting it forward made me think that he was trying to control the way that she looked. He was trying to control the way that she looked. Yeah, maybe he was trying to come across as, well, I like you the way that you are, so you should be happy that I like you the way that you are. Well, now you tried to tell her that she shouldn't wear makeup, dude. You tried to tell a woman what she should and shouldn't do, what she could and shouldn't do at the end of the day. And that ain't going to fly with any type of woman. That is not going to fly with any type of woman. And the fact that he wanted to sit there and put it all on Taylor, is he taking the piss? He was taking the piss, innit? Like, seriously taking the piss, innit? He was. Because my thing is as again, I would say, throughout that whole honeymoon, my girl didn't wear no makeup. So where was the excuse then? He's saying he liked her without the makeup she didn't wear none. Where was the excuse then? Why couldn't you talk to her then? Why couldn't you talk to her then? This is why I said this guy needs therapy. This guy should not have found his arse on frigging Love is Blind at the end of the day. And then he wanted to say, oh, I want to go back to the pods. That's not reality, my guy. That is not reality, my guy, at the end of the day. So what are you trying to say? You trying to say that you preferred listening to her voice and actually seeing her face? That's a fucking insult. In my books, that's an insult. So then Tyler says she's going to leave the room, and then he says he don't care, right? So tell me why Tyler then goes back to the bed and thanks him for talking to her tonight, says that she loves him and that he has a good heart. I'm like, hey, we're in the height of delusion here. That is, I don't understand why she went back to go and appease this man after he insulted her so royally. I don't care if he meant it in the way he did or not. At the end of the day, he said what he said. He said what he said, and then on top of that, tried to blame her for the situation that they were both in regards to the fact that she kept focusing on the awkwardness. Because it's fucking awkward. Because it's awkward, mate. What else is she going to focus on? What else is she going to really focus on if the situation is awkward? She can't hug you, she can't kiss you, can't really do anything else in that sense because you're so standoffish. You don't talk. She's tried to have conversations with you. You don't communicate. You are not a good communicator. You are a type of person who really should not have been on this show to ask nobody to marry you if that's how you're going to go on in a fucking relationship or an engagement or even a wedding at the end of the day, a marriage. If that's how you're going to go on, if that's how you put yourself across, then you need help. Like, seriously, JP needs help because there's something just quite not right. There's something not going on there that needs fixing. Like, seriously does need looking at and fixing. Anyway, we shall move on from this area, shall we? So it goes to the next day and everybody, it's the last day now, so everybody is starting to get ready to move out, to go to their respective flats and to literally start living their lives as like they would be as a married couple at the end of the day. So I've always said, and people have always said it to me, you don't know no one until you live with them. You don't know a person until you live with them. And I stand by those words because you well and truly don't know what you're getting yourself into until you live with someone. Till you start to understand their habits, their interests, how clean they are, if they're dirty, if they're grotty, all those kinds of things will come out because they can't be kept hidden. All those kinds of things will come out. So then we see Taylor basically go and meet JP. Looks okay, the hug and everything like that. So JP kind of accepts some responsibility in regards to how the situation went and kind of wants to work it out. And I'm kind of like, how are you going to work it out when you have no connection with this person? Like, seriously, you have no connection with this person. You basically had no connection with that person. You disconnected from her from the time that you met her, all because of what she looked like. And that's the one thing where Taylor was saying that she had to grow and learn to love herself again because people did essentially go for looks. Herself went for looks, to be fair. Herself went for looks, and she's had that now brought back on her in terms of all JP did to disconnect from her before he even got to the honeymoon was what she looked like because she wore makeup. And that's crazy to me, like absolutely crazy to me. So basically, he went through everything that he wanted to talk about, and then he asked Taylor what her thoughts were in terms of what he said. And I thought, oh God, here we go. I thought, Taylor, if you give this man another chance, then seriously, it will just tell me that the women on these shows just love toxicity, like absolutely love toxicity. But Taylor came into her own basically by saying that since talking to the pods and then coming on to the honeymoon, everything's been completely different. So basically, as I said in my last episode, she's seen all the couples and how they're gelling and how they're connecting and how they're getting on, and for her it's completely different because that's what she wanted. So basically she turned around and she told him that he's not the person she fell in love with in those pods, and it's true. He's not the person she fell in love with. She fell in love with the facade of JP, the facade that JP gave her. And then when she got the actual part of JP couldn't keep that facade up at the end of the day, and he became this freaking entity, this person, who is JP? Who is JP? That's who we showed you. So basically Taylor was honest in how she felt and basically turned around and said that he made her feel uncomfortable with him, and this is why I'm saying he took away her safe space. he took away her safe space because she had that comfortability and that safety with him when they were in the pods. And then as soon as they came out, it all changed. And then he took that away from her to the point where she didn't know how to navigate this newness that she had with him, and this situation that had just opened up between the both of them in regards to awkwardness and everything like that, and him not talking. So basically she told him it was over, that she didn't want to get married to him, and that she didn't want to stay engaged to him, and gave him the ring back, and they would necessarily go in their separate ways by then. And JP accepted that, and I'm like, well, he had to accept that at the end of the day. Taylor don't want to go no further forward. He couldn't frigging force her to do it. So at the end of it all, you out of all of that, out of all those couples, you only got two couples still engaged, leaving the honeymoon engaged, and that's Izzy and Stacey and Milton and Lydia. So basically, I think at that point, JP knew he fucked up. JP knew that he fucked up at the end of the day. And all I will say, it's a good job. It was done at this stage. Then if they lived together and decided to see it through, because that would not have worked. That totally would not have worked. And I think Taylor did what she did to out of self-preservation. She had to save herself from that situation because nobody else could do it. Because as JP said, he did what he did, but still was expecting to carry on with the process. That's not how it works, my love. Taylor was not a puppet for you to keep trying to pull and dangle her strings and thinking it will get better. There's no way, shape or form that was going to get better. That was not going to get better in any way, shape or form. So then we see the couples get all their devices back, and they're all moving in together. I just don't know. When I see them all together, I just don't know. I don't know if it feels kind of false to me. Like when I see Izzy and Stacey together, and when I see Lydia and Milton together, it just feels kind of false. There's nothing that I can say about those two couples when they are together and I see them together that's making me think, oh my God, this is going to work. This is so good. Not like it was from the previous Love is Blind before. It's just, I think it's the chaos. It's the absolute chaoticness of it all that is literally throwing me for a loop, because I don't really feel the attachments that these people saying that they have for them. I don't feel it, and I don't see it. Not the way that it was with Brett and Tiffany, with you know, the other ones from the past ones, from the past ones. Oh, I can't even remember her name. Zach and Bliss, that's it. The way it is with Zach and Bliss, and even the way it is with Chelsea and Kwame, at the end of the day, I don't feel that connection. And even down to the very first one, where you got to the Hamilton Speeds, the way them two connected, I don't feel it with these. I just do not feel it with these at all. So then you see Izzy and Stacey having a bit of a talk, and my first thought is I think there's gonna come a point where Izzy's gonna fuck this shit up with Stacey. Like, he seriously is gonna fuck this shit up with Stacey, because he emotionally aware, he is not. He totally is not. Like, seriously is not. So to me, Stacey's the type of person that just goes with the vibe, and wherever the vibrations take her, she will follow at the end of the day. So Izzy was talking about his mum, and basically saying to Stacey that his mum doesn't want him to hurt her, because she knows how he gets, or she doesn't want his heart to be broken. I think his mum asked, well, you were all in, and Stacey wanted to know the answer to that. And he was basically saying that he would not always be fully confident in someone, and then he will literally try to find the buttons in which to switch that off, or find something about the other person that will turn him off, basically. Which case in point, what he did with Lydia, and which case in point, what he did with Johnny at the end of the day. And he's going to do the same thing with Stacey, because there's certain situations that occur throughout the episodes that I see him completely shutting down and not listening to a word that Stacey is saying. And it's the same pattern he goes down all the time. And I'm like, yeah, he will. He will look for something to literally get switched off by this girl. With Lydia and Milton, I really think Lydia's still going to be stuck on the fact that he's 24 years old, like, because their lives are going to be completely different, and the way they've experienced the world is going to be completely different as well. And it's the fact that, you know, she keeps trying to boss this boy. She really keeps trying to boss this boy like he isn't a grown-ass man that has achieved more than what most grown-ass men achieve at the end of the day. He's his own person in his own right. He has his own individuality and he's quite independent too at the end of the day. Where she kept on going on about his rugs on the floor. I'd rather the rugs on the floor than something else, let me put it that way. And I will come to the something else in a bit. But I didn't mind his rugs at the end of the day. I didn't mind his rugs. So she does get to meet Milton's friend who comes in and has the chat and everything like that. And then to start talking about Pokemon. And Milton says, oh, do you want to get litty? Lydia did not know what the word litty meant. I thought that was quite funny. I thought that was hilarious because it's not a young word. It's not a young word. All ages use the word litty. At the end of the day, it's really not a young word. So then Stacey and Izzy go to Stacey's place, and let me tell you, Stacey's house was beautiful. Like the way it was set out, the way she's gonna get it, things changed, and she had her whole closet, and then her room was being sorted out as well. Her whole house was beautiful, and it's the expectation that Izzy moves in with her at the end of the day. Now Stacey has her finances in order. So they then decide, well, Stacey decided that she was going to have that conversation with Izzy in terms of finances and stuff like that to get that down pat, because they needed to have that conversation, especially if they were going to get married. I would think, now this is my thing, like when you are in the pods, yeah, and they have their conversations, they have their little notepad, they know what they want to speak to people about. My thing is how are you not having these important conversations in the pods? How are you not talking about finances, household stuff, who's going to live where, how it's going to work, what work do you do? Well, I know they ask what work do you do and stuff like that, but they don't really go into depth in terms of what is it that where's your plan going to be like further on down the line? What do you want to do in terms of kids? What is life going to look like for you if you were married? Why are they not having these types of conversations? Why are they waiting until they're getting out to move in with these people then to have those types of conversations? Because if you're moving in with this person and you're planning to get married to this person, you want to know if this person's a fly-by-night with money. You really want to know if this person is a fly-by-night with money. Because if they are, you have no business being with them, because let's put it this way, you'll find yourself as broke as a motherfucking joke. So then the conversation moves on to like dinner, and Stacey just asks him out, like, so would you expect like us to pay, go Dutch or whatnot if we went out to dinner? And Izzy was like, we'd go 50-50. It wasn't the answer that Stacey was looking for. So Izzy was like, would you expect a man to pay for everything? And she was like, well, no, but when it comes to dinner, because she expects a certain way of living. And the reason why she expects that certain way of living is because that's the values that her dad has instilled in her in terms of what she should expect her husband to do for her, because she's seen that growing up with her dad and with her mum. It's the fact that even though her mum does work and earns quite a lot herself, the dad still treats her as though she doesn't work in that sense. And that's kind of what I suppose Stacey is looking for as well, but she will compromise. My thing is I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if I pay. I don't give a shit if the other person pays. We could take it in turns. One person pays for dinner at this point, I'll pay for dinner at another point. I'm not really fussed on who pays for dinner or if we go 50-50 or anything like that. All I know is that if we go out to dinner, on that night, nobody's splitting the bill. I will pay. No one's splitting the bill. And it be likewise if we go out for dinner the next time, no one's splitting the bill. It's the expectation is that you pay on that at that time, and I think that's kind of fair in that sense. But then when Stacey really gets into the nitty gritty of talking about like her background, especially where she's come from and how the family have made money and this, that and the other, and where she is in terms of her savings. And like, you know, if something needs fixing in the house and it needs, like, if you've got £20,000 and you need to put £20,000 down there then and there, that's what's going to have to happen. Now the camera panned to Izzy, and Izzy's face, like, just literally as he does. And I'm thinking, is he taking on any words that Stacey is saying? Because I'm like, at this point, like, you're messing with a real one. When it comes to Stacey, you're messing with a real one at the end of the day. And if you're uncomfortable by this talk, you have no business being in this woman's life. Like, seriously, have no business being in this woman's life, because she can prop her own self up at the end of the day. She doesn't want to be propping up somebody else along with herself. You need to be feeding into what she's doing too, in that sense. And Izzy just looked, and I was like, yeah, he ain't got his shit in order. This man has not got his shit in order, because he was quiet as a church motherfucking mouse, and he literally just shut off completely to what she was saying. So then we get to the pièce de résistance of this freaking episode. And you know what I'm going to say? Ayah and Uche finally meet. Now, this is from a guy who said he didn't want to see Ayah ever again or speak to her, but yet he's turned up to dinner with her. Their greeting was frosty as hell. But my thing is why did Uche, when Ayah was speaking, look like he smelled shit all the way through that conversation? There was no smile on his face. There was no reaction on his face. He didn't emote nothing. Like, emoted nothing. And I thought, this man's stone cold, you know. She's there pouring her heart out about how and I don't understand why she wants to be with this man. I really don't understand why she wants to be with him at the end of the day. Because the thing of it with Uche is all the information that started coming out. I'm like, you didn't tell Ayah none of this shit. Like, you really didn't tell Ayah none of this shit. You knowingly and willingly held this shit back to make her look a little bit ignorant. And that's how I'm going to see it, to make her look a little bit ignorant in regards to the situation going ahead, so he could get what he wanted out of that experiment and the situation. He did not want her to go back and speak to Lydia. That's what he didn't want. He didn't want to go back, for her to go back and speak to Lydia. Now, my thing is when she started doing the bleeding heart routine and saying, like, my heart is still in your hands. I've like, so you just literally put the whole ball in his court. You may have well have turned up at his doorstep, wrapped in a gift wrapped it in a motherfucking ribbon at the end of the day at that stage. Because I'm like, Ayah, where is your self-respect? Like, he seems to have zapped her of her energy, like literally zapped her of her energy, that she's literally come crying back to this man. But I don't think she fully knows who Uche is and how Uche goes about his business. Now, when Uche was talking about the situation between him and Lydia and the story that he was telling, that she was basically saying that, you know, this girl, and I'm like, this girl, this is the girl that you dated, not once, not twice, but 3 times. You went back 3 times. After the second time, you freaking ghosted the girl. Because that's exactly what you're saying. You freaking ghosted that girl. He's talking about how she was, he found out that she was trying to look at private things within his flat and stuff. Question number 1, why does any woman check upon your shit? That's the question I want to put up out there. If she was searching through your private things to find something out, obviously something went on. They don't just do that off the bat. Obviously, something went on previously as to why you ended up finishing, and then you got back together, and there's a bit of an insecurity there for the woman. So that's why she's doing what she's doing. Some actions always tend to come from a reaction to something else. So I'm already on the back foot with this Uche explanation, because I'm thinking to myself, I don't believe you. Something is not adding up here. Something is totally not adding up with what this man is saying. And the thing of it is, he's not actually saying the crux of the matter is, well, this is exactly what happened and da-da-da. He's going around. He's going around wreaking. So whatever he's saying and whatever he's putting out to Ayah, it's about making himself look better, and it's about making him actually control the narrative of the story that's going to be put out now about Lydia. So as he's going on, he's painting Lydia out to be this crazy fucked up woman, like absolute crazy fucked up woman, because people may well believe it, because you only get to see a little bit of a person on TV itself throughout this process, and Lydia is a little bit at times, to be fair. So my thing is as he's going through this explanation and saying that, you know, then his friends were basically coming to him and saying that she's been checking their stories and saying, who is this, and I'm just like, that doesn't really mean shit, because if you have on Instagram, if you have a friend suggestion of someone else, or something comes up, like it could say follow that person or not, you could easily just click on their stories, and they could see who looks at their stories. In that sense, that doesn't necessarily mean that this person is checking up on you. It doesn't mean that in the slightest, unless she directly came to your friend and directly messaged your friend and said, I'm concerned about this X, Y, and Z, and started asking them questions, then yeah, you'd have something to say. But for someone to just look at stories, that's pants. Because at the end of the day, in case people miss it, and I'll say it again, the second time around, when he decided to break things off with Lydia, he ghosted that girl. He said he just stopped talking to her. He ghosted her. So what would a Lydia then do at that point? Go on to the Instagram, especially if she's been blocked off his Instagram, or she's blocked him or whatnot, to the people where he was friends with, and check out their Instagrams, check out their stories to see what's been going on, to find out what was happening. He ghosted her and then tried to make her look like she was fucking crazy. But the thing I don't get about Ayah is she's listening to all of this, she's asking him the questions, yeah, she's asking him the questions, but not actually putting two and two together. Not actually putting two and two together. Anyway, she basically sends at the end of this one that she's trying to, she wants to marry him, and she wanted to marry him. So basically she's trying to convince him to have that relationship with her again. And all I can say is just, you just played yourself. Like, seriously played yourself. But anyway, I shall be back in quick succession with the next episode. I think some of the next episode I did probably talk about at the end of this one, but I will still continue to talk about the rest of it in the next one, because we have a lot to cover. So all I would say from here, my renegades, is please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button, so when you know I am on and doing videos, and I will speak to you all again soon. Peace out.